Well, welcome back, everybody. Once again, it is us, me, Justin, him, Jake, here at Titans Tube, and we're here to break down this important game, Jake. We're the Tennessee Titans going to Pittsburgh here in Week 15. Titans sitting at 9-4, Pittsburgh at 6-1, looking to keep their season alive. And it is still alive, Jake, because the AFC North is still kind of up for grabs between all four teams. And they still have to play a game versus Baltimore, who's the current leader there at 8-5. So still a lot to play for. This Pittsburgh team is going to be desperate coming out of the gates. They have not been trending well, though, Jake. They are now 1-3-1, with that one being against the Detroit Lions. So I think, Jake, can we go ahead and classify that as just a 1-4? I mean, that should count as another loss, right?
I'm with you there. And yeah, the Steelers team is very un-Tomlin-esque this year, Justin. I think you're starting to see kind of some cracks with the Chase Claypool situation. And, the Steelers defense, while they have tons of big names, their front seven in terms of stopping the rush is not very good, which is very un-Steelers-esque from what we've come to expect under Tomlin. So it's going to be an interesting one, Justin. Yes, they have tons to play for. Obviously, they have the home field advantage here. And I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a heavyweight fight for sure. Don't let the Steelers record kind of dissuade you.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is going to be a very physical, heavyweight kind of fight. That's a perfect way to put it. So let's get right into this. The last time these two teams met, it was that wild 27-24 Titans loss in Nashville, where the Titans came storming back, and then, well, lo and behold, the game-tying field goal goes no good. So the Titans lose that game. So it's been since 2013 since we beat the Steelers. And, of course, it's Big Ben still there taking the snaps. Big respect for your longevity there, Big Ben. But let's start with on the other side of the ball. Yeah, we always start with our passing offense versus their passing defense. Almost forgot our flow here. So, Jake, if you could take it away, what do you see? What do you see here in this particular matchup?
Yeah, so the Titans headlining kind of player, obviously, coming back from injury. Julio Jones needs to get more integrated in this passing offense, Justin. We saw a little bit from him last week. He had a great kind of longer catch to pick up a first down in that game. I think he had 2 first down catches, actually. But in terms of just getting him the ball more, you would like to see it as, he is the number one right now with A.J. Brown still sidelined on IR. So look for him to maybe take a few more steps, play a few more snaps in this game. And hopefully, maybe Golden Tate makes his appearance, Justin. I'm starting to kind of get the feeling that if A.J. Brown comes back next week, you might see Golden Tate cut. I feel like he's more of an insurance plan at this point than, what me and you and I feel like Titans fans expected out of the Golden Tate signing, just because he is that big name. So maybe his debut comes this week. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't ever come. But if he can get in the lineup, we've seen Tannehill, in the absence of A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry, really spread the ball around. So it wouldn't surprise me if Golden Tate did come in this game to get a couple balls thrown his way. We've seen, the leading receiver last week had 4 catches, and, there were a million receivers on the box score who each had a catch. So it's very much a spread the ball around kind of attack. And that goes back to the Julio Jones talking point of you want to see him have the ball in his hands more and, maybe take a couple of deep shots to Julio or open it up a little bit. But it's very spread the ball around in the Derrick Henry-less and A.J. Brown-less offense, Justin. I think the big key in this matchup is the Titans' offensive line pass protection. Obviously, it's been a big point of emphasis coming out of that Jags game. Yes, you won 20-0, but Tannehill sacked 4 times, knocked down many, many more times than that. So with T.J. Watt on the other side and just that Steelers defense that is going to be coming after the quarterback, it's going to be tough. And I think it's going to come down to pass protection as far as the success that the Titans passing offense have. Looking at the Steelers pass defense, Justin, they are ranked 14th in the league, giving up 232 yards passing in the game. Old man Joe Hayden still hanging around. He is on the injury report, probably will be questionable heading into this matchup. Something to keep an eye on. But then you're looking at guys like Cameron Sutton, James Pierre are the other cornerbacks holding it down there in Pittsburgh. Very good safety duo. Justin, Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the better players in the league, honestly. He's a very big defensive name, has been playing at a very high level the past couple of years. And then Terrell Edmonds on the other side of him, no slouch either. But, Justin, this defense, for as many big names and as much as you might fear a vaunted Steelers defense, they only have 8 interceptions this year and 13 total takeaways as a whole, which is kind of surprising given their star power. And that's tied for 5th worst in the league in terms of taking the ball away. So hopefully that can bode well for a Titans offense who's had trouble taking care of the ball lately, Justin, especially Ryan Tannehill, cough. So the advantage here, it's going to come down to pass protection. Like I said, if Ryan Tannehill can move around in the pocket a little bit, make quick, decisive decisions and get the ball out of his hands, I think we might have a slight advantage on our hands, Justin, even with A.J. Brown still out and still this Titans offense finding its footing. That could be the Titans tube bias pushing the needle a little bit. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that not only scares you most about the Steelers, defense, but their team as a whole is this pass rush and getting to Tannehill. When, like you said, giving up 4 sacks last week. I mean, yeah, I'm already having nightmares seeing TJ Watt screaming around the edge and, to his blind side if he's wherever he blitzes from. And then it's a forced fumble, and now the game is flipped on its head. Titans cannot let that happen. But like you said, this Steelers defense is not that vaunted. Mike Tomlin, old defenses where they were sacking you and they were taking the ball away and they were stuffing the run. I think a key is definitely going to be, let's eat up this rush defense that we'll get to eventually and take some pressure off Tannehill. But I like it. I think there's opportunities to take advantage of this passing defense. And as long as we've shown, without Derrick Henry, this offense can move the ball. It's just a matter of turning the ball over deep in enemy territory or anywhere on the field, quite frankly. So I like it. I mean, it could be a push, maybe a slight Titans advantage, but the key, I mean, it all comes down to protecting Tannehill, and you trust him to make the right reads and the right throws when he's not panicking over who's about to smack him in the face.
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's go on to that running offense versus this Pittsburgh rush defense. Been disappointing this year. But as far as the Titans go, we got the old trio of McNichols, Foreman, and now Hilliard back. No longer Adrian McForman. We got to think of a new nickname now that Dontrell Hilliard is part of this running back by committee. They've been okay in spots. Last week was kind of uninspired. I mean, they were fine. I think they averaged like around 3 yards a carry. It never blew you away though. What I'd like to see is some better efficiency from these guys, and maybe it could come down to play calling. I just remember the play calling. Am I wrong, or did it seem like every run was like up the middle for 3 yards in a cloud of dust? And I think the longest rush was Tannehill's, first of all, with 17. Yeah. I think it was his 17-yard scramble. And I think McNichols had a 10-yard run, but then he only finished with like 18 or 20 yards rushing for the game. So I would like to see this rush defense or rush offense pick it up a little bit in terms of, being more effective. Not only that, but more creative. I want to see, hopefully Downey can open up the playbook more in terms of the running game, if there's such a thing. Keep this the Steelers front seven that has been struggling against the run guessing and not stay too predictable with it. Some of the guys they've had, I mean, we've mentioned TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, big time players for them up front, but also Joe Sherbert, who leads the team in tackles. And Chris Wormley is another name for him up there on that defensive line. And I think they also have a linebacker, Alex Highsmith, who is on the injury report. So that's a name to keep an eye on for this week. I know he's an active player for them. And what's interesting, and speaking of Wormley, he has 5 sacks himself to go along with 6 for Cameron Hayward and 16 for TJ Watt. How is this team so bad at defending the run, but they could sack the quarterback, no problem? I don't understand the dynamic there of how they're super successful against, an offensive lineman that's pass blocking. But if you're run blocking, no way. I have no chance to get past your block and tackle the running back. I don't know. That's such a weird balance there. They're 30th in the league, giving up 139 rush yards per game. but they're tied for second with 37 sacks on the season. So I don't know, this defense is kind of hot and cold here and there. So hopefully, this rush offense, it's got to provide some balance and not throw everything on Taney's shoulders. But I mean, if you looking at the numbers, I would give the Titans this advantage, I guess. What do you think? I mean, they have the superstar talent on their front seven, and we have Deontay Foreman taking the handoff.
Yes.
So here we are giving the Titans the advantage against the Steelers and running the football. But gotta go with the numbers and the facts, right, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Steelers are the 30th ranked rushing defense in the league, and we said at the top, very not Tomlin-esque, very not Pittsburgh Steelers brand of football-esque. And when it comes to these three running backs, Justin, I think it's more about perspective because they ended with over, I think, like 102 yards total. If you can get at least 100 out of those three, and you just get that kind of production from that sector of the offense, I think that's good. And I don't know, we might have been spoiled a little bit in that New England game with a dominant rushing performance. And now we're expecting, 200-yard rushers out of these guys, and Foreman has run well. He looks good, Justin. I think you may have found a decent, somewhat long-term solution to Derrick Henry's number 2. And then you can get a pass catching back in McNichols or Hilliard if that ends up working out. But yeah, it's going to come down to the Titans offensive line getting the push against this front seven. And I think they can take advantage of it. I'm just a big fan of how Foreman's been running the football. And if the Titans can turn this into a fist fight, running it on the ground, run it down your throat kind of game, I think that bodes well for the Titans. So I think we definitely collect the advantage.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Man, here we are with the advantages for our offense minus A.J. Brown and Derrick Henry coming into this game.
How about it?
Man, I think that bye week has definitely helped a lot. It might have helped our defense more. I mean, they looked ready to play. But anyway, not to interrupt or lose momentum here, Jake. Next up, we've got the Steelers pass offense. What does old man Ben have left in the tank against this Titans secondary? What are we looking at?
Yeah. So this Titans secondary still a little dinged up. No Jack Rabbit Jenkins practicing yet again. He's probably on track not to play in this football game. But how about the new addition, Buster Screen, having a good debut for this Titans team? I thought he was tight in coverage, made a few plays, obviously had the interception late in that game to really, really put it away. And then you're looking at guys, Christian Fulton playing really well. And Elijah Molden being a really steady presence, being the kind of star of this draft class, this rookie class that the Titans have, Justin. So hopefully this group can keep it going, have that kind of moderate success that they have been having. I don't know if they pick off Big Ben 4 times like they did to Trevor Lawrence, but we'll see. We'll see, man. This defense is playing at a high level. And, speaking of high level, look for Kevin Byard, big name players make big plays in big games, Justin. And this is a big game for the Titans, and it's going to be in a hostile environment, and nobody loves that more than Kevin Byard and obviously Amani Hooker on the other side being his right-hand man. You talked about the elderly Ben Roethlisberger, Justin. What does he have left in the tank? Obviously, rumors swirling, news reports saying that this could be a retirement tour for Big Ben. And I would love nothing more, man, than to send him out with a big fat L. He's still taking snaps for this team. He's been decent this year. 19-7 touchdown to INT ratio. Obviously dealing with injuries and shoulders, and I feel like Big Ben's always dinged up on 6 different parts of his body, and we're going to see the thing come up during the broadcast. It's gonna be like, oh, shoulder and knee and hip, and he can't hear, and he needs eyeglasses and all that stuff. But
new prescription.
Obviously, the Achilles heel of Big Ben is his immobility at this stage in his career. I remember being a kid watching Big Ben make these ridiculous, ludicrous plays where he's shaking off sacks and running around. And, he was very Patrick Mahomes-esque, if you can believe it, especially at his size. And now, he's much of a shell of his former self. So the obvious key is to get pressure on Ben Roethlisberger. And I think the Titans can do it, especially with their old friend Bud Dupree coming back in the lineup, Justin. Looking at the weapons outside for Big Ben, Deontay Johnson, obviously one of their big name guys. Chase Claypool, TikTok star and football player, Justin. They're their two leading receivers with 990 yards for Johnson and 753 yards for Claypool. Both dangerous weapons, as much as we make fun of Chase Claypool. And then Najee Harris is also a great weapon for Big Ben on the team with almost 400 yards receiving on the year. And don't forget about Pat Fryermuth. I think the chant is the Muth. Pittsburgh fans love to have their tight end elongated name chant. So it's going to be interesting, Justin. I heard something along the lines of, I want a Christian Fulton performance like he had on DK Metcalf, where, maybe you put Christian Fulton on Chase Claypool, and Chase Claypool, mentally in his headspace, can get riled up. We saw him take the 15-yard penalty. He's celebrating late in that game. He's kind of frustrated right now. He's not in the right headspace to be playing December football. And if Christian Fulton can get in his ear and shut him down all day, that could be a big asset for this Titans team. Kind of get scrappy with him, see if we can't draw a couple of penalties. But beside that fact, I like the Titans' chances, especially with Bud Dupree back. You have the vaunted front four of Simmons, Autry, Landry, and now Dupree back, and we've seen them get pressure with just that front four. It's so good. So hopefully that is the case, and I would say maybe the Titans get the advantage, especially with how their defense played last week, Justin.
Man, it's amazing, Jake. I'm with you. Just the night and day transformation of this defense. Do you remember that game last year? They, in the first half, were picking this defense apart. It was embarrassing, to be honest. I don't know if they punted at all in the first half, and we couldn't stop a 3rd and 20 to save our lives. It was as bad as our defense had looked that whole season, which was historically bad. And now we are thinking about giving ourselves the advantage. Yeah, against the Steelers passing offense. Man, it's amazing. And I think it does come down to the pass rush. And like you said, Bud Dupree coming back, we're now going to get that 4-man rush where we don't have to send anybody extra, because those 4 guys are effective enough to get it done. And it's going to be huge for us. And I love what you said about Fulton possibly just negating Claypool on the field. Coaches are like, you got Claypool all game, forget about it. We're going to, we'll see what we can do with Deontay Johnson over here, and we'll be ready for Najee Harris, but you got Claypool, and that's it. That would be huge for this defense if he's able to do that. It would free up Kevin Byard to, be multiple and line up all around the field and change things up in terms of looks for Big Ben. But the receivers are dangerous, like you said, and we got to keep an eye on Najee Harris. Najee Harris coming out of the backfield. And, Big Ben is not a dumb quarterback. He's a risk taker, so he'll force some stuff that maybe he shouldn't. But, if the play's there, he's going to take it, and he could still be effective. So it's still going to be a challenge, but if we're able to get consistent pressure, I think we should get the advantage here too, Jake. I'm with you.
Yeah, right on, man. And I think we're gonna go maybe 4 for 4 ? What about the Steelers rush offense, Justin? The Titans rush defense, something serious. 8 rushing yards on 8 carries for the Jags last week. Yes, we talk about the caveat. It's Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, Urban Meyer out the door. Breaking news this morning. Yeah. But this Titans rush defense is nothing to mess with, Justin.
Yeah, what a masterful performance. 8 yards on 8 carries. They only had to defend it 8 times, but they did it beautifully. And man, Jake, that has assaulted them. There's a better word for that, but they have shot straight forward to second now in the NFL in rush yards allowed per game. Dude, every time we get on here to make a preview video, we keep climbing higher. Usually it's like literally just by 1 position, but now after the 8 yards they gave up, the average has shot them all the way up to second. And I think they're just 1 or 2 yards behind. It's Arizona, maybe, or I can't remember. But this Titans defense, this Titans defense has a good chance of finishing the season as the number 1 ranked defense against the run. Obviously, they got a big challenge here. Najee Harris is having a great rookie season. He's got 873 yards and 6 touchdowns. in his young career. And it's not just that. He does so much for this offense. As you said, coming out of the backfield, I think it's fourth. He ranks fourth on the team in receiving yards, almost has 400 on the year. So, I mean, he's kind of the engine. He kind of reminds me of what Le'Veon Bell used to do for this offense all those years ago, both through the air and on the ground. So he's going to be a key for their offense. But you got to love our rush defense, Jake. And I don't think there's any way we can give the Steelers this advantage. I mean, we've been giving our rush defense the advantage all year, it feels like. And they're giving us no reason to stop that. And perhaps not just Bud Dupree, but will we see a Zach Cunningham debut? I mean, this rush defense is possibly just getting stronger and stronger, which should be a very scary thing for opposing offenses. But yeah, I think we got to take away the advantage here, Jake.
How about it, Justin? Who thought going into Pittsburgh, week 15, the Titans are going to sweep the advantages? We'll get to the special teams kicking advantage. But yeah, not so fast, my friend. But yeah, I'm glad you brought up Zach Cunningham practicing this week. Hopefully he can make his debut in the two-tone blue, and maybe he can make up some slack for David Long, who unfortunately, Justin, still not practicing for this Titans team. I really hope that David Long can get some regular season reps in before the playoffs, or even come back for the playoffs at this point. We have brought up that it's kind of a very Adoree Jackson of last year situation where we just keep waiting and he's not on IR and we keep waiting and waiting and waiting. But anyways, yes, this rush defense, nothing to mess with. Najee Harris is a tall task, not quite the Jaguars offense, even though James Robinson's very good. Urban Meyer refused to run him. But yeah, I think we take the advantage in this one. However, Justin, in the special teams kicking advantage, I don't think it's going to be the same story. Obviously, Randy Bullock with another miss last week, and that we're trending poorly with Randy Bullock. We had several weeks there for a stretch where he was perfect. He was money, and there wasn't a doubt, And now it's creeping back up. I think it was his birthday yesterday or today, Randy Bullock. So happy birthday, Slim Randy. Don't eat too much cake or anything like that, man. Don't be out partying, and stay slim. And hopefully he can boot a few through. And, talk about uncharacteristic. I thought Brett Kern was kicking pretty short last week, Justin. We saw a couple of duds from Kern when we're used to seeing big kind of changing the field bombs. And that could be a big, big factor in a slugfest like we're expecting on Sunday. So Kern's ability to flip the field is going to be an X factor in this game. Looking at the Steelers side of the ball, Chris Boswell, longtime guy for them, sturdy, solid as a rock. He only has 2 missed field goals and 2 extra points this year, which I think is probably miles ahead of Randy Bullock at this pace. And then Pittsburgh's punter, Presley Harden III. That's a pretty ballin' name for a punter, Justin. I think that's a cool name. And you know what? I think the hard-hitting analysis of Titans Tube will give that advantage to the Pittsburgh Steelers based off names alone.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's our Titans Tube trademark. Great analysis. Yeah, man, that's a really good point about Brett Kern, because as we get to our keys and predictions here, I'll go ahead and just kind of move us along into that phase. I think the big key here could be Brett Kern, because I'm kind of expecting a lower scoring game. I know we gave our offense the advantages here, Jake, but I mean, they were by slim margins. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not expecting our offense to still light up the scoreboard really in this game. We're expecting that slow grinding grudge match, very physical, kind of a throwback style of game. And Brett Kern could be huge in this game. I mean, if we're pinned deep on our own 5-10 yard line, we're going to need a ball that Brett Kern can send way down past midfield if possible. Or, like you said, I think we had a punt last week, like on our own 30 or 35. And I was like, oh, all right, they're about to get pinned deep. And the guy caught it like 10 yards ahead of where, like, I think he ran up to make the fair catch. I was like, oh, dude, please let this not be signs of deterioration from the great Brett Kern. But anyway, regardless, I think, we're going to have to have a big game from our special teams and Randy Bullock. If points are going to be at a premium, we got to knock in those field goals, all the extra points. Brett Kern's got to be able to flip the field when called upon. And how about this defense? This defense is kind of the backbone, obviously, of this team right now with no Henry, no AJ Brown. And we need to give them all the help they can get by, having a long field to work with in terms of defending a drive and not putting them in bad situations, like having red zone turnovers and Tannehill interceptions and all that stuff. So, you know what? I think that might be my key. Yeah, that wasn't my key when I was going into this.
Way to pull the rug out from under me, Justin. Jeez and Pete's. No, all good. I'm messing with you.
Okay, good. I think I just talked myself into my new key. I think it might come down to a clean, solid, and a plus game from our special teams, because I'm expecting that low-scoring game. So no mistakes on that front. I mean, obviously, you could go with the traditional protect Tannehill or need to get pressure on Roethlisberger, but I want to see a strong game out of Kern, a perfect game out of Bullock, and then a stronger game out of Kern, and just make it really tough for Pittsburgh and that offense to move the ball. I'll take the Titans winning this game in a Titans one, and I'll go with an odd score. I'll do how about 21-16 Titans win.
I like it, Justin. I like where your head's at. Go ahead.
I like how I was like, Randy Bullock needs to be perfect. And I predicted a 21 score, which means he just needs to make 3 extra points. So I don't know where I was going with that.
Easy enough.
But yeah, well, he'll get it done. Anyway, what do you think?
I like it. Yes, you said the kind of surface level keys to this game: protect Tannehill, and hopefully get a clean performance out of special teams. I think that is a very good key to this game, Justin. I think my key is going to be one, Tannehill cannot, you alluded it to earlier. I can see it happening in my brain now that TJ Watt comes flying off the edge, seemingly unabated, and just Tannehill strip sack. It flips the game on its head. And yes, I think the games are going to be on a premium. So ball security, huge in this game. Even more so than in the Jacksonville game, obviously. Titans have to win the turnover battle in what is going to be a slugfest, Justin. And my second key is for this offense to convert more points when they have the opportunity. When this offense gets into the fringe, like 30 and in, and then the red zone and in, they need to convert touchdowns, Justin. I hate sending Randy Bullock out there these days, especially when he's missing. And they need to capitalize on the opportunities that they get. This Titans offense was so great last year because they converted almost every red zone trip into 6 points. And they need to get back to that and to be that more elite offense that we've been accustomed to seeing. Yes, you don't have Derrick Henry, AJ Brown. You're probably 2 top touchdown scorers over the past few years. But it's just the points are going to be at a premium. You need to cash in when you're there. And that also goes for Randy Bullock when he trots out for a field goal. I also have the Titans winning this game, Justin. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be Titans. And I'm gonna go with the Titans winning this game. Let's see. Let's do 22-17. Also a weird score. Right. Just 1 point up from yours. I guess I just stole yours pretty much. You stole my kicking advantage, so I'm going to steal your score. That's
fine. Hey, it's fair. That's fair. It's fair trade. We'll take it. Man, I don't know. This almost sounds too biased for Titans too. We're feeling very confident about this team who just recently had a bad 2-game losing streak and then bounced back against the Jags. And now we gave them all the important categories. And as far as we gave us all the advantages in the important categories, not special teams, but that is important. It was my key after all to the game. But I mean, we're going up against into a hostile environment against a Steelers team with a great head coach who is desperate for a win. And we're thinking that, there are things to be feeling good about as far as this team goes and matching up against this team in Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I mean, we might have even given an advantage to Jacksonville last week. I can't remember. We've probably not, but usually we divide it up evenly. But hey, it's almost a clean sweep here at Titans Tube and breaking down this game. Maybe we're feeling too high and mighty about these Titans, but I don't know. I'm with you. I'm feeling really good about this team. Feeling really good about this defense. When you have a really, really good defense to lean your back on, it's I don't know. It makes me feel better about the team in general. Remember how great the offense was last year? But we were thinking, we don't feel great about this team because we can't stop anybody. So it's interesting how when the dynamic is flipped to the defense, you kind of, in general, you feel good about your team when you can lean on a defense that's able to keep you in ball games week in and week out. But I don't know. We'll see what happens on Sunday.
I am probably the most excited I've been for a Titans game since maybe the at Indianapolis game, or maybe I was excited for Sunday Night Football, but obviously the gut blow of Derrick Henry. This has a very playoff tune-up feel, Justin. This is going to be a playoff atmosphere in Heinz Field.
Yeah,
it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out, cold Pittsburgh. The weather's I haven't seen a forecast, but I just in my head it's like shitty weather, and it's going to be ground and pound. And it's going to be a very playoff-esque game. And I would love, I said at the top, but man, growing up in Ohio, more Steelers fans than you would ever imagine. You know, it was Browns and Bengals, but they were so bad for a long time. So it was all the Pittsburgh fans making so much noise growing up all the time. And so there's an innate rivalry with me personally and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I would love nothing more than to kind of put the nail in the Steelers season, at least them winning the AFC North with a loss here on their home field. I'm excited. I'm excited, Justin. I'm ready to tighten up, watch this football game. Do you have anything else to take us to the bar?
Man, I love it. You got some personal feelings up in here with this game. I love it. I love the playoff atmosphere comment. I think you're right on about that. And it's going to make it feel like that even more because we got Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the call. Feels like 2019 again, going against the Patriots and the Chiefs. I think they were on the call in the AFC Championship game. So, hey, I think it will be a playoff atmosphere, and it's going to be raucous and rowdy, and it's going to be fun. Hopefully we can come out healthy. But, hey, Colts Patriots are on Saturday, so we're going to know before the game kicks off on Sunday what a win would mean for the Titans, whether if it's capturing the first place in the AFC again or if we seal the deal on the AFC South title. Either way, the Titans are going to come out of this Pittsburgh game with something if they win. So got to take care of business, and man, it'll be a good one. I can't wait to watch it, and we'll get that recap up for you guys next week. But that's all I got. I'm ready to tighten up, dude. Sunday can't get here fast enough.
Very excited. Playoff-like atmosphere, pretty much a must-win if the Titans even want to sniff that one seed. So let's just go take care of business. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Wave those light blue terrible towels, not the yellow ones, and let's go get a win in Pittsburgh, Justin. I'm excited. Tighten up, and everybody have a great football weekend.
Good weekend, everybody. Tighten up.